How's it, guys? Welcome to the Wild Protea. My name is Clinton John. Thanks once again for joining me. As I've said in the past, I'm trying to create a sort of safe space for South African fans to come together and discuss the latest goings on in South African sport. So without further ado, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, as well as hit that notification button so you can get all the latest. So basically what I do is just basically my opinion on the latest sports stories and what I think. So what I want to do is gather everyone's opinion and make it a space where fans can communicate. So, you know, in the week now there was an announcement by Cricket South Africa that there's going to be a Solidarity Cup. Now this may be, you may draw some conclusions here. Solidarity Cup, Solidarity Fund. Obviously, this has something to do with COVID-19 and looking to get players back on the field and such. And a bit of something surprising, some surprising revelations from this. First of all, the game is going to be held on the 27th of June. And it's going to be a 3TC game, a 3-team cricket game. Now, this might be a foreign concept to you, and I know it's certainly a foreign concept to me, but it's a new format of the game. So I'm just going to run through a little bit of the specifics with you guys. 3 teams, 8 players, 1 match, 36 overs, and divided into 2 halves. Yeah. Then all 3 teams have 12 overs to bat. You know, six overs in each half of the game. So I'm not quite sure how if there's going to be a sort of toss or anything like that, or maybe there'll be 2 tosses. There'll be a lot of tosses on the field, certainly. But yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going to work, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. And then one team bowls 6 overs at each of the 2 other teams. So I'm guessing if you win the toss and you bowl first, you would then bowl to team 1 for 6 overs and then team 2 for 6 overs, and then you swap or whatever, and then I'm not sure how it's going to work, but you know, it sounds interesting, and at the same time sounds a bit complicated. There is a sort of last man standing rule as well, where if you lose your 7th wicket, the last guy that's in can still bat on, but he can only score runs in 2s, 4s, and 6s. There are no 1s. Obviously, because if he runs to the other side, then there's no one else to bat with him. So, you know, it's sort of like old putt cricket rules. If you ever played putt cricket back in the day, definitely you had the last man standing and he would bat on, and most times you would hope that he's your best player. Other times, yeah, it's not. Let's not go there. Lost a few putt cricket games with tail enders. But yeah, so the winner is whoever scores the most runs. So just like normal cricket in that sense. So this is an experimental game which they're trying to start, I guess, and it's a way of, or it's a way they see of. Getting everyone involved. I believe Mark Nicholas is quite heavily involved, former Australian cricketer, and he sees it as a way of getting everyone involved. That so that you know you don't just bowl and then you're stuck down at fine leg or third man and that sort of thing. So everyone's sort of inside the game. You know, with 8 players, obviously there's a bowler and a wicketkeeper, so you've got 6 outfielders. So it's a bit of like a mixture of 5-a-side cricket and 11-a-side cricket. And I think it could be quite exciting. You know, certainly looking at the teams, which I have here for you. Let me just see. I've gone old school with pen and paper here. The squads are as follows. There you've got KG's Kingfishers. That's obviously Kagiso Rabada. So obviously he's, you know, the captain of that team, which is quite interesting actually, because if you'll remember a few weeks ago, I have him in my discussion for Test captaincy, so we'll have to see how this goes, although it's a bit of a hit and a giggle. Maybe he's a decent captain. I don't think you'll be able to tell from this though. So his team is as follows: him obviously, KG Rabada, and then Reza Hendricks, Janeman Milan, Faf du Plessis, Heinrich Klaassen, Chris Morris, Glenton Sturman, and then Tabrez Shamsi. So not a bad side there. Then you've got Quinny's Kites. I have no idea where they got his names, guys. Yeah. So he's the captain of his team, Quinton de Kock. And then you've got Bavuma, Smuts, Dave Miller, Dwan Pretorius, Luto Supamla, Björn Hendricks, and Andrich Nokia in that team. So that looks on paper quite a strong side. And then you've got AB's Eagles. AB de Villiers, Eden Markram, Rassi van der Dissen, Carl Verreina. Interesting to see his name there. Andile Petlequire, Sisanda Magala, Junior Dala, and then Lungi Ngidi. So all the teams pretty much all the guys, all the Proteas guys that are in and around the T20 sort of setup. The one name that does actually come to mind there is AB de Villiers. Now, obviously, he's the captain of AB's Eagles, but a lot of people would like to see him back in the Protea setup as well. So maybe this is a way of maybe getting himself back into contention for T20 World Cup whenever that's going to take place. Look, guys, I have no idea what this format is going to bring. Obviously, they're looking for lots of 4s and 6s. I mean, you've got 6 fielders on the field, in the field at any given time. So there's going to be a lot of gaps. So I'm predicting a lot of 4s and a lot of 2s, from maybe the last man standing. How many runs could you score realistically in, 12 overs you've got to bat? So divided 6 and 6 in each half of the game. I'm not sure how that's going to work, or if it's going to work, or if it's going to, take off or whatever. But I mean, at least they're trying something to bring youngsters to the game. I remember when I was younger, that's when sort of T20 cricket started, and really it got my imagination going as a youngster. Here's this format of the game, new format of the game, slightly less, slightly shorter, obviously, and it's brings a lot more excitement into the game. You've got to score runs at a quicker pace. So I'm guessing that this is the sort of thing. But even in T20 cricket, it can get a little bit exclusive when you also down at fine leg and stuff like that. You want to be involved in the game, and this is a way that you'll be. I mean, with the 6 fielders, you've sort of got to have maybe a 4-2 or a 3-3 on each side, so everyone's sort of involved in the game. And I'm not sure if there's going to be restrictions on run-ups or anything like that, but they haven't said anything of that nature, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think it certainly piqued my interest. I'll give it a watch and see how it goes. Obviously, after that game, I'll do a reaction and see if it's just a hit and a giggle, or if it can be something more. I'm thinking more it's going to be a little bit of a hit and a giggle and a bit of a sponsorship maybe boost, maybe once a year, to just have it once a year and sort of use it as a marketing tool, I think is going to be more effective. I don't think it's going to turn into another format of the game just yet. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it's pretty good. You never know. Yeah, just more on that AB story. He has said that he will decide on his sort of future. They can only decide when they get back on the field, is what he's been saying. Guys, my personal opinion is we need to move on from AB. If you're going to call a player out of retirement, I don't know why it wouldn't be JP Duminy. I think his stats are slightly better than AB's in T20 cricket. Anyway, T20 international. So if you were calling for anyone's name, it would probably be him. Well, me anyway. But I wouldn't go call JP either. These guys are retired for a reason. They decided to retire, and it's time to move on. South African cricket has had a tough time moving on from players, and moving on from the likes of Jacques Kallis and Graham Smith and Herschel Gibbs and all the names of the past. We've struggled recently now because I just don't think there was any sort of forward planning for these guys' retirements. We just thought the conveyor belt of youth talent is going to keep churning out, and it just didn't. Although I believe the players we have are good enough, I think they're not experienced enough, and I think we should have blooded them in maybe slightly different back in the day. But that's a story for another day. I just have a little bit of rugby news for you guys as well. So Joe Rokocoko, if you remember Joe Rokocoko, he's a former New Zealand winger. Now, he's had quite a bit to say on Cheslin Kolbe. He says he's probably one of the best wingers in the world for him. He says his skill set, his ability to beat players one-on-one, and also his ability to play multiple positions within the back line also speaks volumes, he said. And he was watching, I think, Pro 14 before they went away, or the French League or whatever, and he was watching Cheslin's team, and Cheslin actually played in the number 10 position. So it just speaks volumes for his versatility. And that's why he thinks he's one of the best in the world. You know, he's good on the high ball, and, you know, for a small guy, makes some big tackles as well. So he says he's also impressed by Makazole Mapimpi, obviously a world-class finisher, but most wingers don't really defend well, and he's lauded Makazole for his brilliant defensive efforts as well. So some very high praise there from, you know, one of world rugby's better wingers over the years. You know, Joe Rokocoko was absolutely unstoppable on his day. He did say also that before the World Cup, he was looking more at guys like himself, like a Jonah Lomu as well, who would sort of run over opponents, had the speed, but not necessarily the work ethic or skill level of a Cheslin Kolbe. So, you know, the world has changed a bit in rugby, and I think that it's important, you know, Cheslin being a little guy, that he gets the recognition he deserves. I think he was outstanding in the World Cup. I think he's been an outstanding player for a long, long time. And I'm just glad that, you know, when I saw him come out as a youngster for Western Province, I thought, yeah, this guy's got some serious talent. And I was always disappointed when it came time for box selection that his name wasn't there and thereabouts. And then it started getting in the conversation, and then he kind of petered out a bit. And then Rassie brought him back, and I was like, wow, this could be his chance to stake a claim, you know, and he really did. He put up his hand. And just glad that Cheslin's getting the praise that he deserves. And then rugby, there is a return date for rugby. Now, it's not South African rugby, it's the Pro 14 starting on the 22nd of August. Now, obviously, the Cheetahs and the Kings are involved in this competition. So, in effect, SA Rugby would be starting again then, but it wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be on our soil. I don't know how it's going to work, traveling and getting there and or anything like that, but effectively the Cheetahs and the Kings are going to start on the 22nd of August with their rugby again. Now, the Pro 14 obviously has to get the okay from the South African government to start up again, because there's two teams from South Africa in the tournament. So I'm not really sure if it's going to be on that date, but that's a provisional date that they've set, which will be nice to see the rugby boys back in action. Of course, Roscoe Speckman's just moved to the Cheetahs, so that'll be an interesting development. And Dimitri Katrakilis, the Kings fly-off, has just retired, and I didn't read if it's before or after the tournament. So yeah, I just know about that. Just having scrolled through Twitter and those sort of things. SA Rugby also is looking to return around August, September anyway. 22nd of August. That's kind of late in August anyway. So I think that return date might coincide with our return date as well. Hopefully it does. I would love to see some live rugby action. Obviously this weekend, there's already been soccer action in the English Premiership. There's already been Bundesliga and stuff like that. So I've been watching, but not as excited about it as, you know, seeing the rugby guys and the cricket guys, the soccer guys back on the field here in South Africa. Yeah, even though I don't really watch South African football, yeah, I more watch the cricket and the rugby and that stuff. So that's why I give more opinions on that, if you've noticed. But if you would like to talk about soccer, I would love to learn more about South African soccer. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much all I have for you guys today. Just looking at my little notepad there. So Yeah, get your comments in, guys. What do you think about three-team cricket? Do you think it's just a little flash in the pan, or is it going to be something that could be better, could be bigger? Obviously they've got the T10 cricket, which is the 10-over cricket, or as well, and they've got now 100-ball cricket, which was supposed to start before COVID. I don't know when that's going to start as well. I think that's in England. They've got that 100-ball cricket stuff happening as well. So what do you think of these innovations in cricket? Do you think it's going to get young people to play the game? And then also, guys, get commenting on how excited you are to see the rugby guys back in action again from August onwards. Have a fantastic rest of your Friday, guys. It's a beautiful day out in Cape Town. A little bit windy, but a beautiful day. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you again next week. Cheers.